Single parenting has gathered momentum where children are raised by a single parent and not with both parents as expected in an African traditional setup. In terms of comparisons, single parenting is higher in females compared to males. We'll be taking a look at that issue, including the challenges that most single parents face when raising their families in recent times. Also today, we have stories making headlines for you from across the country and beyond. Taita Taveta leadership consisting of the governor, senator and women rep are expected at the DCI headquarters over the Camel Herders Row. We'll also have a live report for you. We are also live from Milimani Law Courts. You remember the two rugby players accused of rape? Well, they will know their fate today, and you can be part of the conversation. Our lines are open and numbers on your screen, and you can also engage us on our social media platforms. That is at NTV Kenya, at Zainab Ismail. The hashtag, remember, is NTV Today. Now, in his final years, many fundraisers were organized to ensure that the late Kadenge received treatment. His life exemplifies what many Kenyan sports people have to go through, especially after retirement. President Uhuru Kenyatta's directive to set up a Heroes Kitty is one of the many attempts by government to improve the lives of sports people in the country, but is yet to be realized. Seth Olale with a plight facing our sports people who have ended up on the lonely path of neglect.
Once the final whistle is blown and fans empty the stadium, the players are on their own. More so when they hang their boots. The late Joe Kadenge's life typifies exactly that.
They have done something for the nation, and they should be looked after, be given some help, whatever they can.
Most of them actually come from very humble backgrounds.
Kenya sports heroes and heroines known for the medals have ended up with a begging bowl. Former Harambee Stars striker Henry Motego worked as a casual laborer in various construction sites in Kisumu. Peter Dawo, a former Kenya international and Gor Mahia striker, at some point appealed to well-wishers to help him out sort his medical bills.
You are taken for a drink, for food and whatever. If you are given some allowances, will be very little money. And we still suffered.
Conjestina Acheng, a former boxing icon, has also been languishing in misery. Popular performing artists in the arts and culture industry have also been neglected and seemingly only remembered at death. Poor management of sports federations, lack of proper welfare structures, and lack of political goodwill are among the factors that have contributed to the poor state of national heroes in the country. While visiting the late Kadenge at his house in 2017, President Uhuru Kenyatta directed the then Sports and Culture Cabinet Secretary Hassan Wario to put up a Heroes Council that would, among other things, provide medical cards to all national heroes, pay a monthly stipend, and provide housing to them. That remains a declaration.
And all these people must be recognized in a very structured way.
A number of European countries such as Germany and England have a mechanism whereby players save a percentage of their earnings for pension. Kenyan government and sports federations are, however, yet to set such structures. Seth Olale, NTV, Nairobi.
And our deepest condolences to the family of the late Kadenge. May his soul rest in eternal peace. And into some politics now, and Deputy President William Ruto has called on Jubilee leaders to use internal party structures to resolve deep-seated issues afflicting the party instead of airing dirty linen in public. The DP who spoke in Eldama Ravine said those prosecuting the party's issues in public and in the media are derailing their mission of uniting Kenyans. In the meantime, ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi, who also weighed in on the divisions eating away at the Jubilee Party, said the two warring sides have taken the president hostage. Listen in.
Najua wewe na rais mlikubaliana tuache siasa mpaka 2022. Sio makosa ya hawa, ni hawa raia. Ukikosa kusema 2022 leo na kesho kutwa unakwenda nyumbani. So utusamee, hata ukipata rais mwambie atusamee. Sisi pia tunachunga kura.
Umeona shida yenye tumekuwa nayo kwa chama cha Jubilee, serikali yetu, watu kuleta siasa za migawanyiko. The politics of division. There are those who want to take us to the politics of ethnic balkanization. Ya kuwa tujikusanye kama Wakikuyu, wengine wajikusanye kama kabila fulani, na wengine kama kabila yao. Turudi kwa siasa za miaka ya kale, siasa za migawanyiko.
Anybody who values this country, anybody who values Jubilee Party and the unity that it stands for and the transformation that upon which Jubilee was built will be responsible not to prosecute matters of our party in newspapers on the basis of rumors, on the basis of falsehood, on the basis of propaganda. They should be responsible enough to bring those issues to party structures. Then we can handle those issues and work on the party going into the future.
The person who is handicapping Uhuru is Jubilee. Because Jubilee has brought Kieleweke, and Jubilee has brought Tangatanga. And then in the process, they have handcuffed Uhuru, so that Uhuru is not able to deliver what he has to deliver.
And a day after the Nyeri County Commissioner issued a warning to politicians who are believed to associate with outlawed criminal groups, Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mwangi Kiunjuri also hit out at politicians using the youth to further their interests. He was responding to this incident about a week ago in Gatitu in Nyeri County, where rowdy youth stormed the venue of a public meeting he was in, forcing the CS to make a very hurried speech before leaving the scene. Nyeri Member of Parliament Ngunjiri Wambugu had arrived at the meeting minutes later, accompanied by youth chanting Kieleweke slogans. The CS, who has been at the crossroads amid pressure to support President Uhuru Kenyatta while angling himself to be Deputy President man in the next general election, said the use of youth to cause chaos could signal the return of outlawed groups such as the Mungiki.
Itakuwa interrupted. Mkutano ya mtu yule mwingine wowote itaweza kuwa interrupted, na hakuna sheria inachukuliwa dhidi ya mtu kama huyo. Hatutakosa kusema na tutarudia leo, kesho kutwa na mpaka mtondogoo, ndio haya maneno yaweze kueleweka na maafisa wale ambao wanafanya ile kazi.
Siku wa Nyeri kama Mwangi Kiunjuri. I was in Nyeri as Minister of Government. If a Minister of Government can be attacked, that means directly the government was attacked. So important that we understand whatever is happening today might resort to other bigger things. We had days here in Mount Kenya when we could not sleep because of organized youth. Organized youth who are desperate and can be used against other people.
Now, yesterday, the country marked 29 years since the first Saba Saba rally at the Camp Kunji grounds in Nairobi. The event, however, lacked the fervor that has been synonymous to the date, where the country was once on the threshold of a revolution. A group of human rights activists and civil society players organized a protest rally to demand end to extrajudicial killings, and another group also met to analyze the strides made in the implementation of the 2010 Constitution amid a rallying call for a referendum. On this exact date, 29 years ago, Kenya experienced a momentous political development in these very grounds that saw the country shape its current political scene and lay a strong foundation to the 2010 Constitution. Today, young activists and human rights defenders from the slums marched to the grounds to demand an end to the alleged killings of young people in their neighborhoods. The group, made up of civil societies and victims of police brutality, was drawn from Mathare, Dandora, Kayole, Kamukunji and Githurai.
We are here because we are tired of the statistics and the stories and the burials that we have to do of young men and women who are being shot and who are being killed.
We are saying we have had enough. Our youth are being killed, and instead of dealing with the issue of crime and coming to the root cause of it, wanaenda kuhama youth wetu juu ameshindwa kuwapea jobs.
The day was without the politics and politicians traditionally associated with the movement and who used to play the central role in the event. In Limuru, members of the Sabasaba movement, drawn from the academia and the civil society, met to take stock of their achievements against the backdrop of concerns that the day's significance has been on the wane. The agenda of the meeting to reflect on the achievements of the constitution that was promulgated in 2010 amid the widening differences on whether it should be amended. They argue that political leaders have failed to implement the constitution and now want to use it to accommodate their own power struggle.
We are watching and seeing the debate, discourse arising about the need to change the constitution. So we said we should take this occasion to come and reflect ourselves, take stock and ask ourselves, is the constitution really the problem? And what are the implications of opening up the constitution?
What's happening is not a failure of the constitution, but a failure of those in power to implement the constitution.
Broadly, the country has undergone tremendous changes in the past 3 decades. However, the revolution seems to have stalled. The civil society says the malpractices the reformists fought against continue to flourish, top on that list being corruption. In Kenya, Sabasaba was used as the beginning of open defiance against the Moi government to give room to democratic reforms. The government ruthlessly crushed the demonstrations. Hundreds of civilians were killed or injured, while thousands more faced charges in court, including all the leaders. Zainab, Ismail, NTV. All right, and away from that, we're going to cross over live to Mombasa County, where my colleague Kevin Mutai is currently there. Of course, today, President Uhuru Kenyatta is expected to commission the Bandari Maritime Academy at the Kilindini port in Mombasa. A very good morning to you, Kevin. What more details do we expect following the President's visit today?
Well, good morning to you, Zainab. As you said, we are coming to you live from the Kilindini port in Mombasa, where we are expecting President Uhuru Kenyatta, among other maritime stakeholders, to arrive at this particular event to launch, or rather to commission the Bandari Academy. This is something that the maritime stakeholders are saying will establish, or rather change the maritime sector following the establishment of this particular institution. Bandari Maritime Academy, previously known as Bandari College, will be a center of excellence in maritime training and was established as part of ongoing reforms in the maritime and transport industry. The government says that through the academy, it aims at bridging the huge shortage of qualified seafarers in the country, so as to meet the needs emerging from the blue economy sector. This is also something the government is expecting to touch on the issue of unemployment, as it expects to get over 50,000 youth to employment through this particular project. It is saying that, of course, it is also in one way or another will contribute to the country's GDP through the blue economy. Remember, the blue economy is one of the things that also the government says will pump in more money to the country's GDP. And as I said, that this particular event, we're expecting President Uhuru Kenyatta to be here any moment from now. We are doing the setup. As you can see, people already seated and expecting this particular event to start any minute from now. Remember that Bandari also Academy will provide advanced education and training to appropriately qualified candidates, whom will be given diplomas and certificates. This is an effort whereby the government expects to change the policies at the maritime sector, and so as to also promote the institution through training and to get qualified personnel who will be able to engage in activities on matters of maritime. As I said, Zainab will be keeping an eye and expecting any moment the head of state to come in. As I see, security personnel are already combing the area. The security is watertight, and to ensure that this particular event will be a success. We will be monitoring on what will be happening from here in Mombasa, Zainab, and we will be updating our viewers as soon as we get the details from this end. Back to you, Zainab.
All right, Kevin Mutai, then of course we'll be getting more details from him during the course of the day following that expected visit by President Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, just days after diplomatic ties between Kenya and Tanzania roiled, with a neighbor to the south threatening to take diplomatic action over remarks made by Starehe Member of Parliament Charles Njagwa about foreign investors, President Uhuru Kenyatta made a private visit to Tanzania, perhaps to thaw the ice, and it was a full-scale charm offensive in a bid to bring Magufuli closer. Charity Mwangi takes a look at the blooming presidential bromance that also sparked hope for the next date.
When it comes to Kenya's relations with her neighbor to the south, it's always been a case of smiling behind the fence but never climbing over. Ties with Tanzania have never really been warm, but President Kenyatta, who was on Friday meant to make a quick visit to Tanzania, ended up spending the night after such an incredible reception. It was laughter and camaraderie as both leaders turned on the charm, their mien revealing little of the tension that have belied the bond between the two neighbors.
Jirani ni yule Mungu alikupatia. Lakini hakuna kitu ya furaha kama kuwa una jirani umechaguliwa na Mwenyezi Mungu, lakini pia huyo jirani ni rafiki.
Tunazungumza lugha moja na tamaduni zetu pia zinafanana. Kwa Watanzania wengi, Kenya ni nyumbani. Na vivyo hivyo kwa Wakenya hapa Tanzania ni nyumbani. Sidhani kama kuna mkoa wowote wa Tanzania ambako hakuna Wakenya.
It was a show of unity in deeds and words.
Kenya ikitajirika, Tanzania imetajirika. Tanzania ikitajirika, Kenya imetajirika.
And the bromance spilled over from the diplomatic to the personal. A moment captioned by the president's visit to Magufuli's ailing mother. A gentle hand squeeze that was perhaps symbolic of a newfound friendship, and captioned by a prayer whispered in supplication for the mother and in the hope that it will heal relations between the two countries. And as a parting gift,
na alipoingia tu kwenye nyumba mle, Tausi akakimbia pale nje akasimama. Akasema najua hawa Tausi wananipenda mimi kwa sababu ni rais. Na mimi nikajua hii ni njia mojawapo ya kuniomba. Kwa kweli nimeguswa, sijawahi kugawa Tausi kwenye nchi yoyote. Lakini kwa heshima kubwa na mahusiano makubwa yaliyopo kati ya Tanzania na Kenya, nimekubali, na hili nataka kulisema, najua watu wataandika sana, lakini hili limenigusa kutoka moyoni. Nitatoa Tausi 4. Watapelekwa Kenya kwa Mheshimiwa Kenyatta. Na nina uhakika baada ya miaka kadhaa watazaa. Watakapozaa wale wana atanirudishia.
If these words are any measure, then there's perhaps hope for a second date. Both countries now taking a step back, opting for friendship in the hope of salvaging the cooperation dream. Charity Mwangi, NTV.
All right, and there you have it. President Uhuru Kenyatta will soon be having peacocks, 4 peacocks there at State House, we believe, and of course that will be very interesting and quite an interesting bromance, and more details on that story will be following up for you. But just to get into the conversation now, remember you can be part of our conversation on our social media platforms. Our lines are open. You can call in, you can ask any question. I'd like to chip in a conversation, an opinion, feedback. We'd like to hear from you. It's about the dynamics within the family setup and the rise of the single parent in the country, and mainly those who are single moms in the country. And joining me for that discussion is Eva Oguna, who's a single mom, and Soline Akoth, who's also a single mom. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us for this conversation this morning. And you know, the statistics just shows how much the rate of single moms is rising in the country at this point. So there's a lot of dynamics playing into this, rates and this statistics. So I'll start with you, Eva. Maybe just give us a glimpse into how long you've been a single mom, and if you can, how did this happen?
Thank you so much. As you said, I'm Eva. I'm a single mom of 4, 3 young men and 1 girl. I've been a single mom for the past 9 years now. Yeah.
For the past 9 years.
Yeah.
All right. And you say you have 4 children.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe Solin, also just to get a glimpse of your family setup. How many children do you have, and how long have you been a single mom?
Thank you very much. I'm Solin. I've been single for the past 6 years. I only have 1 kid. Yes.
All right. So Eva, how has the journey been for you in terms of being a single mother and raising 4 children on your own?
It's never been easy. It's so tough. Having to juggle around working and raising and bonding with the children. So most of the time, you find yourself in awkward situations that the kids need your attention. At the same time, you need to go out and work to fend for them. Yeah.
So it's been quite a challenge.
Yeah,
for
it's
you.
a challenge.
All right.
Yeah, but I'm in there.
All right. And Solin, is it the same for you as well?
Very tough, of course. Yeah, very tough. The journey is tough.
How would you describe it exactly? Okay, just take us through the process of maybe give us a glimpse into, was it a divorce maybe? And then from there, how did you start moving forward towards raising your own child?
It was not really a divorce. I think it was just a misunderstanding which led to some separation.
All right.
Then later it didn't work out again. So, you know, women, sometimes when you're in pain, you don't want to go where you are. So you decide that it's okay, I can move on. Moving on, sometimes you get it tough because you have to raise the baby alone. The finances you have to provide, the school fee you have to provide, everything. At some point, the baby also needs to know the father and also need a provision from the other parent. At some point, you are down, like maybe you're feeling unwell, and now things get a bit harder. Yeah.
All right. What was going on through your mind when you made that particular decision to say, you know what, I have decided to take care of my child alone, and I'm going to do this by myself? Were you scared?
I was in pain. I was not really scared because I was left with this baby when the baby was still in the womb. I was pregnant for this baby, and the father disappeared. So I carried the pregnancy all throughout alone, and after now giving birth, the father wanted to come back, and it was difficult for me. After the long process of loneliness, of struggling with pregnancy and all that. Yeah. So I feared that he should not come back to my life because I never wanted another heartbreak. Yes.
All right. And Eva, how was it for you to, make that decision, and what led to that particular decision where you decided, 4 children, that's quite a lot of responsibility to make that decision and say, I'm moving forward, I'm going to be the mom to my children by myself?
I really never made any decisions. Things just happened. One morning I just wake up, I'm still married, and then the same day in the evening I find myself single. I didn't know it would come this far.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did that happen? If you don't mind sharing.
It just happened. He just woke up one day, and he had packed his clothes. For some time we had been having the wrangles at home, and he was a woman beater. And of course I was living with that, when you're really desperate. And sometimes you feel you're doing it for the kids. It's never for the kids, it's for yourself. Yeah, because the kids really don't need to live in a violent environment. They're better off in a peaceful environment. So this happens one day. He wakes up and packs his bags while I'm in the bathroom. And then I leave some time in the day to go out to get some orders. I do business. So when I come back in the evening, my house girl tells me, he's left. And then I'm like, who left? And that was it.
Till today.
Yeah.
You laugh. You've managed to get past through all that emotions that that come about with the person leaving you, of course, right? Yeah. And you're able to live with yourself with that. And did you get closure, understanding why the father of your children left?
I've really never understood why he left. Yeah, because I think that time the problems we were having were even smaller. We had passed through bigger problems. So the reason why he was leaving, I didn't understand till to date. Yeah, because for some reason he was jobless for about 3 years, and I was providing everything for him. And this particular time, he just decides and wakes up and leave. Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right, and we'll come back to probably part of the statistics that show that a lot of men abandon their responsibility when it comes to the family setup and taking care of their children. So Sally, I'll ask you this. Why do you think there is an increase of single moms specifically in the country? Why do you think a lot of women are opting to take care of their children by themselves?
I think one of the major reasons is lack of responsibility on the men's side. Because at some point you feel the man is in the house, but he cannot provide. You do everything. You pay the rent, you do the necessary things you do for yourself. So a man is just there in person, but he cannot provide for the family. So the heavy load, the heavy work towards the woman, you feel is better if you are alone with the children. And again, I think men run away because of unplanned, maybe pregnancies. Yeah, you never planned for the pregnancy, maybe you were in a courtship, and you never planned maybe a child to come in the process. Now a child comes in, and the child has a lot of responsibility. So because this man was not prepared to raise the child, the man automatically will run away and leave you with the baby.
All right.
Yes.
All right. And Eva, why do you think is the reason behind women deciding to raise their own children for something some people say? I know both of you have been in a setup where you're in a marriage setup, yeah? For those who've been able to be in a setup where they had a man in their lives but were not in a marriage setup, yeah? So they fear marriage. Women fear marriage, so they decide, I'd rather not get married, let me have a person to give birth to a child and then continue with my life alone.
Okay. Today's woman is so empowered, and they won't take any nonsense in their lives. They won't agree to being beaten up. They won't agree to being demoralized in life. And somehow we are co-creators with God. So once you have a baby, you have a baby. You cannot abandon this kid. Yeah. So when the men run away, it's easy for them to run away. They are very light, very, very light. While I get into a marriage, I'm equally light as he is. And when time comes that we are going different ways, he's light, I'm very heavy. Yeah, because I have that package. These kids are a part of me. They're literally a part of me. I cannot just live without them unless they're dead.
Right.
Yeah, so naturally a woman will never run away from their kids. It's not easy. The mammal instincts is within us. Yeah.
All right. And you've been a single parent for quite some time, right?
Yeah.
And traditionally in an African setup, we tend to view and look at a marriage setup where there's a man and a woman, wife. And did you ever face stigma?
Yes.
At any point?
A lot of it. Till to date.
Till to date.
Yes.
What went through during that time where people are looking at you and saying you shouldn't be a single mother?
Okay. In the African setup, everyone believes that it's a taboo to be a single parent, rather a single mom. It's easy for men to be single parents. They won't face any stigma. And once a woman is a single parent, the society turns against you, the men being the first of them. I thank God for one person in my life who was my dad. May he rest in peace. He's the only one who supported me. He knew everything that was going on in my marriage. And he was like, if you can make it on your own, I support you. Whatever you're going to do, I support you. But every other person in the society, they're looking at you like, she's not even married, you know? You don't fit where people are talking, yeah? You don't fit where family members are making decisions just because you're single. It's so hard.
So they make you feel lesser of a person.
Yes, yes, that's right.
Sally, is it the same for you? Have you faced stigma?
Mine is so real.
Okay.
Mine is so real. The society, like the society considers you not to belong. It starts even from the family, my own family. I have sisters, they are stable in marriages. You can't even be closer to them. By the time you're closer to them, you're eyeing the men. So even in a family gathering, you're silenced. You have no say. In a family gathering, you cannot talk. What do you know? For you to gain that respect is for you to have a man in your life and to settle down. And again, they view it like you are living a bad life. You don't want to have one man in your life, like you're jumping from different man to another. That's why you chose to live that life. Even in the church is there. Yeah, they feel, why are you not settling down? The problem is you, not really the man. So mostly they put all the blame on us. Yeah, we face a lot of rejection.
All right.
Yeah.
And following that, you know, rejection and following that stigma,
yes,
does it in any way affect the development of your own child? Does it affect the relationship that you have with your child?
It doesn't affect, but at some point the baby is affected in a scenario whereby maybe there's some other children, they're playing. Another child will talk, my daddy bought me this. My daddy paid for me school fee. Then your baby is like, my mommy paid for me. The baby will come and ask you, why? Why? I talked to my friend that the daddy paid for her school fee. The daddy bought her this. How come me, I don't have daddy to do this for me? So at some point, when the child, you have to talk to her and tell her, no, it's okay. I will do that for you. Don't mind. Yes.
And we'll come to the timings where you can be able to talk to your children about such issues. Eva, do you also believe that within that stigma and that dejection, that rejection from family members, from the society, affects your child or your children as they grow up as well? Do they also face that stigma?
They don't. I really don't care what the world thinks about me. It is me and my kids.
Yeah.
I have to give them all the love that I can give them. So any other person doesn't matter in our lives. We belong to each other. My kids are all grown. My firstborn is 20 years old. My secondborn is, I think, 17. And third one, I think, is 12. And the last one is 9. So I really don't care what the world thinks of me. It is me and them. We are 5. And we go strong. We sit down every day and we talk about everything. But I try to keep them away from the problems I have with their dad. So my problems with their dad is mine and him. They are not part of the problems. So if anyone feels like they want to bond with their dad, I'm easy. If the dad feels I want to bond with my kids, I'm easy. I don't oppose anything. Yeah, but generally it's me and them.
And during their growth, you know, and as they became adults, did the father of their children try and come back to, you know, their lives and your lives probably to make, you know, go back to being a family?
No. Until they were grown. Until my firstborn was in 4th form. Yeah.
But you did not see that as something that you would look forward to?
I asked him why. Why that late? Yeah.
All right. And so you said no?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, you know, how does it work with single parents who now move in to get married or be in a relationship with another partner? So I'd like to know how that is incorporated with the dynamics of having a child, 1 child, 4 children. I'll start with you, Sally. Probably you've thought along the way that, you know, I'd like to settle down with another person. Have you ever had a conversation with your child about such an issue? Like you're going to have a new daddy or something like that?
Not really. This child doesn't know anything to do with a man. She has never known the love of a dad. She only knows the love of the uncles. And I think most of the time, she has never seen any man in my life. Because raising a child in a single setup, you have to show there's some principles you have to apply.
All right.
Because in a situation where maybe she'll know another man in your life, then this daddy or this uncle, then the next time you bring another man. So far, I've not talked anything. The only introduction, she was still young, but now she's growing. With the time now, she'll get to know. Maybe.
Just remind me, how old is your child?
6 years old.
Oh, so that's very young.
Yeah, she's still young.
All right.
Yeah. So with the time as she grows, maybe I can talk to her. Yes, I'm willing to settle down. I'm really willing. But I'm still taking my time. Yeah, but when the baby grows, maybe to around 10 years, she can get to understand what is really going on.
All right.
Yeah.
And Eva, does it also work for you in a way that, have you ever tried to introduce your children to a person you thought that a potential partner in your life at any point after the father left?
No, not really. I don't.
And do you think that's a conversation that you can have with your
yes,
children?
Yes, I can. Yeah, we really have a good bonding style, me and my kids. My firstborn tells me everything about his girlfriend. He doesn't hide her. So every time he's in a relationship, he must tell mommy, and we talk about it. We get together, plus the girlfriend, we talk. So we really have that that bonding. It's really working for me with them. So if at all there would be any man, I wouldn't hesitate to tell them. Although I really don't consider getting into one. Yeah.
Or wouldn't?
No.
Okay, so it's a choice to be a single mom.
Yes, yes.
Independent woman. And on the same line, looking at the modern times, do you think that women are becoming more autonomous, more independent, because of financial stability, and that's why they make this decision to say, you know what, I don't need anyone in my life, it's just me and my children?
Yes, that's right.
That's right? Okay, and what if that was not the case?
I really don't know where we would be. But you know, in this era of mobile phones, and everyone is so aware of everything that is happening around them, we've really seen a lot of women being killed out of flawed relationships. And I think this is getting women to be very scared. Everyone is getting scared. They don't want to get into serious relationships. So they're like, I'm looking for a baby and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So look at this in a way that for a majority of those who are in a marriage setup and left with their children, they gave a number of reasons as to why they decided to make that decision, and one of those decisions was being in an abusive relationship with their significant partners. How do you think this would affect the child psychologically as they grow up? Sally?
I think as the child grows up, a child can also develop the same style. Like maybe taking a negative part that men are bad, that you can never live with a man. Mommy raised me alone, there was no father figure. So I think a child can be affected in a way. Like maybe getting into a relationship can be very, very hard. Yeah, because of fear. Yeah.
All right. And Eva, what is your take on the same? Do you think that children are affected psychologically from being in an abusive marriage or setup?
Yeah. Initially, before I got into business, I was a teacher of the young kids. And you would clearly know the kids who are coming from violent families because they talk about it every time. And these kids, if it's a boy will want to beat up any girl he sees around. Yeah, and if it's a girl will be running away from any boy they see around. So it really affects them negatively. Yeah, so for us women, usually we say we are staying because of the kids. It's never because of the kids, it's about you. If you're so selfish that you cannot give your children peace, for you to bring up a peaceful lot, you must be in a peaceful environment. You cannot raise a real family when you're in a violent relationship. Yeah, it's really not right. You cannot allow kids to live in such an environment.
All right.
So any woman who is not selfish will really walk out on an abusive marriage. Yeah.
All right. And on that point, I'd like us to cross over live to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, where the 2019 census press conference is currently happening. Of course, that is expected to happen between the 24th and the 25th of next month. Let's listen in.
The maps, and we finalize the production of the maps. And why is this important? It is very key because it does help us in assignment of the geographical codes of the various years. Then also we need to appreciate the number that is required to undertake the census and the other logistical arrangements. But most importantly, it helps us to locate the households and also the homesteads. And again, this ensures full and unduplicated coverage for the population. This time, we are using technology to undertake or to conduct the population and housing census. And census undertaking is a very well-guided process. Under the UN, they normally come up with recommendations on how to undertake a population and housing census. And now we are at the 2020 round of censuses. And one of the key recommendations is to encourage countries to take advantage of technology so that they can conduct their census. And we started this even when we did the cartographic mapping. We used technology, and we have a record of the names of the heads of the homesteads and the average sizes of the households. We've picked coordinates for the homesteads, households, and this information is going to be, or has been inbuilt into our mobile devices, and when we do the actual work, this is going to help us. Because at the enumeration stage, the questionnaire, which we call the tool, is going to be uploaded into the mobile device. The maps that we've done through the cartographic mapping is also going to be uploaded. And even when we are doing the actual enumeration, again, we are going also to take the devices, the coordinates, for the households. And most importantly, again, the devices have inbuilt quality controls for internal data validation for the data that is going to be collected. And why would we use technology? One of the reasons is that it's what has been recommended, but most importantly, again, it will eliminate that phase of the manual data entry. And the manual data entry normally has got its own problems. There will be errors that are involved, so the issue of the quality of data is also assured. Then we can also get real-time data, which is sent to the servers as we start the enumeration process, and in that, it would shorten the time taken to release the census results and also the products if we use technology. So we are sure that we are going to release the census results within a record time this time around. Briefly again, the pilot. We normally conduct the pilot census exactly 1 year before the actual enumeration, and this was done in August 2018, last year, And what normally happens here is look at the logistics, you look at the accuracy of the maps that we are going to use. Then you test the questionnaire, because you administer the questions. Then look at the adequacy of the personnel that are administering the questionnaire, and also test the technology. And based on the information that is normally gathered from the pilot, you go back and you review the census instrument, and this is aimed at informing now the census process. So this was successfully done in August 2018. And I had mentioned that the field cartographic mapping has also been completed. So we are on course on that. Turning briefly to the questionnaire, the census questionnaire, we normally have what we call, we'll be having the main questionnaire and a set of 4 other short questionnaire. And the main questionnaire is to be administered to what we call the conventional households. There are 2 conventional households and the non-conventional households, because we want to get the population for everybody in this country, even the people who are on transit, people who will be in hotels, people even who have migrated for a specific period of time. But in the main questionnaire, we want to cover the following areas: the issues of the population characteristics, we get the demographics, the issues of the age, the sex, the marital status. We look at issues to do with disability, issues to do with education attainment, the training, most important issues of labor force, ICT, agriculture, housing conditions and amenities, and household assets. So it is very, very rich data set, which have got very many uses, and it is very, very key for planning, policy formulation, decision making, because you get to know the number, the severity, for example, of disability, the levels of attainment of the education status in this country, the occupation of the various, of all the Kenyans, in which industry, even the employers. All this information is going to be collected. Issues to do with ICT, issues to do with access, the ownership of ICT equipment. In the previous census, 2009, we did not collect information on agriculture, but this time around we have a whole module on agriculture, issues to do with crop farming, livestock, aquaculture. Then we look at issues to do with the housing conditions, that is the housing characteristics, waste disposal, energy use, and the ownership of assets. So this information that is collected would even help us to monitor internationally agreed goals like the SDGs, because we are going to get information up to the lowest disaggregated level. We are also going to provide benchmark and monitor the Big Four agenda. So it is very, very key that this information, when we get it, it is used so that it can better inform the users. On CAPI, I had mentioned that we are going to use, for the first time, a paperless census, a digital census. And my colleague is going to present the program. So we have designed and developed the program.
There you have it, the Director General of the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, Zachary Mwangi. They're giving us an update on the planning measures towards the census exercise, which is expected to be held between the 24th and the 25th of August. We'll be getting more details on that. But away from that, now a section of civil society groups and Kisumu residents are currently holding a peaceful demonstration in the town to protest the ongoing probe of Kisumu County Assembly Speaker Onyango Oloo over the Lake Basin Development Authority Mall claiming it is political and malicious. They say the graft case is meant to derail the opening of the multi-billion facility. And Oko Kusa now is joining us live with a report. This case is in court and under investigations. Oko, why then have they taken to the street?
The reason why they have taken to the street, Zainab, is because they are saying that this mall is supposed to offer employment opportunities to thousands of youths in this town, and therefore they are concerned. That is what they're saying, that they are concerned about the delay in reopening on the opening of that particular mall, and that is what has occasioned this morning's protest. And I'm right here with one of the residents who is involved in this protest, just to tell us what are their grievances as far as this mall and the protest this morning is. Welcome, sir. Just start by introducing yourself.
My name is Edgo Chiengodoyo. I am a resident of Kisumu, but at the same time a civil rights activist. The reason why you've seen us go to the streets is because of the undertones that have been there amongst the young people and our women. And the reason being that the mall was built and it started 6 years ago. Up till to date, what we are seeing is just investigation around one individual. And we've been waiting because this government promised in their agendas that job opportunities for young people and for our women. And we're not seeing it coming. This is one of the major projects that we've received from the national government. If it is not opened today, then we feel it is a serious economic saboteur to the young people.
Okay, we all know that there are current probe going on against the speaker, that is Olo, revolving around the mall.
Yes.
And actually he said it himself that he would like this process to be expedited.
Yes.
How come you, at the same time, you people are claiming that this investigation are just revolving around one person, yet he has come out to say that he's clean and is ready to be investigated?
One, we agree. But you see, corruption cannot be fought in isolation. We're only seeing Onyangolo being probed on the issue. Onyangolo was the chair. And I believe from everything and reports which are there, facts are, those payments were done before he became the chair. The AG's office, the Minister of Public Works, and they gave a clean bill of health to the Minister for Devolution, that the mall is clean. The payments that were done by the contractors. But if it is investigation, Onyangolo was just the chair of the board. Where are the executive who are supposed to sustain the policy? What did they do? Then if it is investigation, that's where we are asking. If it is a probe about corruption, where are the rest?
Okay, so we are looking at what sort of employment opportunities in the mall?
There are so many kinds of employment opportunities. Those malls, the shops will be employing young people, our women, even cleaners. People will be cleaning. There will be jobs. Even our border operators will be ferrying people, transporting people to the mall, to and fro. In that place, even the matatu industry, even as some of the people who are doing business, they will be going there to get contracts to do some jobs. This is economic sabotage we are seeing. That's why we are asking. And by the way, we are requesting our leaders, starting from the county assembly, we are going to the MP, and more so the senator. Please ask, what is the problem? If they are probed, let them continue with the probe, and holistically, everybody that was involved to be probed. Then after that, before that goes, please open up the mall. We get the jobs, we earn some money, put into our pockets. Because with this economic sabotage, then we'll continue saying our youth are idle, our youth, and we have an opportunity to get jobs here. Yes.
Thank you very much, sir. I think that's okay. Well, Zainab, that is one of the residents here, Edgar, who is involved in these peaceful demonstrations today to demand the opening of the Lake Basin Development Authority Mall. We all know that it was put up at a cost of 4.2 billion shillings, but there have been issues raised regarding its appropriations of funds. We are talking of some 2.3 billion shillings, which the EACC officials are trying to investigate. Remember, this mall was built using loans gotten from Cooperative Bank, but there has been a lot of controversy surrounding even the repayment of those particular loans. And now we are experiencing these demonstrations here from residents who are demanding that the mall should be opened so that it can offer employment opportunities as it was intended for when the government decided to establish this particular mall. So those are some of the sentiments there, as you've heard from one of the residents there, Edgar, saying that they want these investigations to be expedited. Remember, even Olo himself, that is the county assembly speaker of Kisumu, had said when his houses were raided by EACC officials some weeks back on claims that they were searching for some crucial documents to help with the investigations regarding the misappropriation of funds during the construction of that particular mall, and therefore the residents here are saying that they need this investigation to be expedited so that the mall can be opened up to offer job opportunities for the people of Kisumu. Back to you, Zainab.
All right, Okukusa. Then, of course, that is a story that we are keeping you updated on. And, of course, Okukusa will be bringing us more details as that continues to develop. We're going to take a very short break. But before that, remember, our conversation is in the dynamics of a family setup, and that specifically single parenthood. And we'd like to hear from you. You can talk to us. Our lines are open, and, of course, on our social media platforms as well at NTV Kenya. I'd like to know, if you're a single parent, what kind of challenges have you gone through, and if you've been raised by a single parent, do you feel you ever lacked anything as you grew up? Talk to us at NTV Kenya. Let's take a break. NTV today. Remember, today we're talking about single parenthood, the challenges that come with it, and the stigma as well associated with it. And we have two fantastic single moms here, and of course, who are giving their views on what it means being a single parent and how that plays within the society. So I'll ask you this, I'll start with you, Eva. We have a comment here by Annie Nyambura. She says, children who are affected by not being brought up with both parents, when they grow up, they want to always seek a mom and a daddy figure. I don't know if that is something that has ever crossed your mind, that probably raising my children, in the future, they'll start looking for a father figure somewhere. I really didn't get that. they're saying that as you grow up, if you fail to have, let's say, for example, a mother within your family setup, you'll tend to look for a mother figure somewhere else. If you didn't have your father as you grew up, you'll end up looking for a father figure somewhere else. Has that ever crossed your mind?
Not really. It has never crossed my mind. When you're raising children, children learn by watching what their role model is doing. So if my kids see me take the role of daddy and take the role of mommy at the same time, they really don't miss that father figure, because when we have holidays, I make sure they have they have someone with them. I take them for training somewhere. I have friends around where I live, and we have come together with a proposal of having the children of single parents brought together during holidays, and they get to know more about the missing parent. Like at the Eagles Legacy, all the way in Lakisama, it's a school where we bring children brought up by single parents, come over during the holidays for 2 weeks, and they're mentored on the other parent who is missing. So children can learn from anywhere. I can be having a husband, but an absent husband. He's ever out on a safari, but I'm still married. Does that mean that my kids will be looking for father figure somewhere? It doesn't mean that. The way you bring up your children is what matters. Yeah, because so many times you find we have people who work outside the country probably 90% of their time. I was a house girl. When I was a house girl.
Journey.
Yeah, and I used to remain with twins. Their mom was working outside the country, and the mom would just leave me with milk. And in 3 months, she would only come back once. So in 1 year, she would be there only 4 times, and in less than 1 week. You understand? And still these kids grew up knowing they have a mom, and the mom, though not there, still part of them. Yeah.
Do you feel like probably you being there, of course, and their mom not being there, that they missed something at any point in their lives?
I don't know if they really missed something, but let me say I was like their mom, because even the father was never there. So it was just me and the kids. So the parents were never there. And right now they're all grown. They're even married, and they're leading very good lives. Yeah. And I doubt if they were really affected, because seeing what they are today, I'm just proud. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And Sally, having such a young child, do you also have probably a fear of your child at one point seeking a father figure somewhere?
I don't know whether you'll allow me to go back shortly before I answer that.
Please do.
Eva was supporting this idea that most ladies, they opt for single motherhood because of maybe financial stability. I don't think in most cases it's like that. When you share with the single ladies, I tend to get exposed to them. Most of the ladies, not really, some of them are not even financially stable. They didn't choose to be single. But I think most of the things is because of the abusive relationship. That's the major thing leading women to stay single, not the financial stability. You can't be financially stable, but still, you feel empty. You feel like, because every woman, naturally, every woman needs a man in her life, and every child needs a father figure. So I cannot really put it like financial stability. It's pushing the women now to stay single. No, still there's some vacuum, in fact a big one, because life without a man is empty, for sure. Now to come to that, a baby lacking a father in the family, yes, it is true. She can seek another father figure. It is very true. At some point, you get a baby getting so much attracted to a male relative, maybe my male relative. She wants the bond, because this is something she has been missing all throughout. She gets so much bond until now. Even over the holidays, she wants to go visit that person, because there's lack of a father figure. Mostly when you raise children, it's for both parties. there's a part for the mom, there's a part for the dad. However much we can do much, we can give the bond, we can give the love, but this space for the father will still remain just empty. Yes. So at some point the baby will go out and look for this love. Yeah. And ladies mostly at a teenage level, sometimes now it is very hard with them because they fall in the wrong hands. And they tend also to love these father figures they're trying to follow. Yes, because they miss that thing for a very long time. Yes.
All right. And you know, it is very important to have a child grow up, of course, with a father figure, with a mother figure within their family. Well, not everybody is lucky to have that, but because traditionally fathers are perceived to be, you know, those stern, you know, the discipline, those people who instill discipline within the family and of course order within the house. So I'll ask you, has that been a challenge ever with you? You said you raised 3 boys, right? 3 boys and 1 girl. Yeah. So, you know, raising boys is quite a tough challenge, I believe. Right. Tell us, has it been hard being, you know, the stern father in the household and being a gentle mother as well?
Yes, I play both roles. I think one time you should be able to call sons who are raised by single moms, probably to give their side of the story too. I think I'm raising very fine young men, and it comes to be very tough when they get into their adolescent stage, because there is no one to nurture them and usher them into adulthood. So that's why I was saying we have a group and we are working on such, because as a woman I will not know what my son needs and what advices he needs from a male person. Yeah, the males, they know better. So we facilitate this every time that the children close schools, so that they bond with a man, with some men somewhere who are father figures in the society. Because not everyone will just stigmatize you. Some of these people want to understand, why is Eva a single mom? And Eva is busy. She's fending for her children, and she's never there at home. The little time she gets, she spends it all on her children. Yeah? And probably it's not enough. And this man steps in and like, would you allow me to bond with your son? And I'm fine with all that. Yeah, as long as it's not anything bad that is happening. So we have people in the society who are also willing to help bring a healthy future. Yeah.
All right. And Sally, do you probably have the fear as you grow up, as your child grows up, you will be too gentle, or you feel like you are strong enough to handle both responsibilities of being a mom and a dad?
No, not really. I'm not strong enough. I only play the part of a mother. And the part of a mother mostly is loving. Sometimes you try to apply a lot of discipline, and you get emotional in the process. And the baby maybe will not be corrected rightly. So the father figure, you know, the world of a woman and the world of a man. What a woman can do is different from what a man can do. Mostly the discipline side. Like me, when I was growing up, the discipline was from my dad's side. My mother was soft. She could not do anything to us. So the father could apply all the discipline. So in a case whereby you raise the child, like my case, you don't do a lot of caning. Sometimes you can just yell, shout, but you know, yelling, you're not correcting anything, maybe. So on the side of discipline, a father figure is really needed to discipline the child. Mostly I do a lot of talks, because the baby is still young. You just talk, don't do this, don't repeat this. And also with the help of the teachers. So she's growing up to be a disciplined lady, but there's some side of the father that she doesn't understand.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. And you know, there's a study that was done, I would like to get that correctly, that said that children who are raised by single parents always tend to have more problems. I don't know if you agree with that. It says children growing up with a single mother are exposed to more family instability and complexity. They have more behavior problems, and they're less likely to finish school or attend college than children raised by both of their parents. I'll get more details on where that study came from, but do you agree with that?
Yes, I do.
Why is that? Because you're a single parent. Do you actually agree with the fact that, you know, they're saying that children within a single parent setup are more prone to problems as they grow up?
The first thing, I think, the issue of discipline. You tend to get this our generation, most of them. Those who are not disciplined, they are brought up, mostly the boys, they're brought up by their moms. Mom will just pamper. Even if a situation where you need to cane a child, you need to give some good discipline. You'll only pamper. You only call daddy, daddy, and the kababa, whatever. The kababa generation. So they tend not to be disciplined. Then they are exposed to a lot of problems because a situation whereby the mother is struggling to fend for them. This baby, or maybe this girl child, maybe will opt to look for somewhere to work, maybe as a house help. A boy maybe will go to the streets, maybe start doing something to help raise the family. Yes. So those are the cases that mostly the single ladies face.
All right.
Yes. Even in a situation where the mother is very stable financially, still these children will grow horns. In fact, in a stable financial ground, they'll grow horns more than those who are struggling because the child is being given everything. So after all, she's not lacking anything. Yes. So disciplining this child, mostly those parents who are stable financially, they don't discipline their children. They pamper a lot. They do a lot of pampering. They give everything to the child.
To probably fill the gap that is missing within the other, because the other parent
Yeah,
is
yeah,
not
they're
around.
trying to fill that gap.
All right.
Yeah.
And Eva, do you agree with that? You know, she calls it, Sally calls it the kababa generation. Do you believe that this, you know, included your children, you know, would be prone to such complexities within their lives as they grow up?
No, I really don't agree with that. We have different personalities. There is this tough parent, and there are those kababa parents. Yeah, whether the both parents are there, and still kids are pampered, they grow horns. Last week, I was in school for my young boy. He goes to day school. So I go to school to complain, yeah, because he left the house with a trouser which is not his uniform. So I go to school, I want to know why. He went to school with a not uniform clothes. So when I go there, I find out they are in a group of 4 boys, and we are very, very close. Yeah? And it so happens that there was a party the previous weekend, a birthday party for one of them, and it was done in my house. I didn't know.
Oh, wow.
So when I learn about this, and my tough person comes out naturally, and the 3 of them have both parents. The funniest thing is, the parents didn't know whatever their kids are up to. And I'm single parent, and I'm the only one who has got the instincts to run to school because something is amiss somewhere. The parents who are 2 are at slumberland. Just because mommy is always at home, the husband thinks she's taking care of everything. And you know, I saw kids exchanging with their parents. And I told the principal, is this where my son is? Do you think this environment is good for him? If this cannot change, then I'm getting my son out of this place. Because number 1, I need him disciplined. In front of me, not away. Not away. Beating a child in the right way is not really doing the wrong thing. He has to be disciplined one way or the other. Yeah? So I was shocked. I should be depending on parents who are both there. And again, I found out they were depending on me. Yeah? And I was like, is this really happening here? It should not be happening this way. It should be the other way around. Yeah? So I think children who just grow horns are just meant to grow horns. They're not brought up in the right way. But there are so many men out there and young women who have been brought up by single parents, and they are doing very well. And they are just perfect partners to their spouses, whosoever they are. Yeah, so I think the bringing up really matters a lot.
So you can say it depends on the upbringing that the
Yes.
family provides for the child at this point. But you can also agree that a majority probably face these kinds of problems, because you'll find that as you struggle to make ends meet for your children, you spend less time with them.
Yes.
Right? So when you spend less time with them, that means then there is that space where they're able to discover a lot of things, and of
Yes,
course
yes.
all these issues. And Sally, even in that point, do you feel like sometimes you spend enough time with your child to bond so that they don't feel like there's something missing? Or is that also a challenge because you have to go to work?
It's a challenge because I have to go out and try to make ends meet. And you get most of the time, when I get home, the baby is asleep. I leave around 8 in the morning. I get back at around 10, like every day. So I only create like on a Saturday, Saturday and Sunday to have a time with this kid. From Monday to Friday, she's under somebody's care. So it's a big challenge. Now because you are alone, if maybe you could be two, another person could be out, then another. Yes, mostly the upbringing depends with the mom mostly. We should create time for our children. Men mostly, they're too busy. And you get a scenario whereby you are a single parent, you are the man and you are the woman. So when you get out, the baby remains home lonely. And at some point, even it affects you and affects the baby, because baby calls, "Mommy, now you are not yet back home. I'm just alone here. Why?" So it's a big challenge. Offending, again, trying to get time for your family, trying to get out to look for money, trying to make the family stable. You struggle, Sometimes when you stagger, and at some point even you ask yourself, you feel the life does not just easy. Yeah. But you try to hide the struggle from the child. You don't need to show the baby that you are struggling.
Let me ask you this, as a single mom, and following all these struggles that you're going through, making sure that you provide for your child, and of course creating a stable home for them, does it at one point probably affect you mentally? You feel like you're exhausted?
It do. In fact, in several occasions. Like just recently, I was unwell and I was admitted. The baby was not aware. Even me, I was not aware that I was to be admitted. So going, then I got admitted, then like for 3 days. So explaining to this child where I was very, very hard. The child could just cry, she wants mommy, because I'm the only figure that she sees all throughout. Now how it affects me mostly, when you're alone, most of the time you're alone. And you need someone to talk to. You need someone to encourage you. You know, we are living in a times where people are just busy. Even your own sister can be just maybe not far away from you, but reaching you is a problem. So you need just somebody that is close to you. So you need maybe somebody who tell you that it's okay, you're going to get well. And to get home, somebody who can maybe talk to you well. So you feel so frustrated.
All right.
You go to the hospital, like in that case, you have to pay your own bills. By the time you're down financially, still, the house rent is still waiting for you. The baby is still waiting for you. You feel so much exhausted that you cannot even get well very fast. You feel so much exhausted, you feel so much down, stressed at some point. I remember some times back, when I just gave birth to this baby and I developed some complications, I had some mental issues because of stress. Yeah. And they suggested that I should visit a psychologist, of which I said no. I'll only just read my Bible and pray. And at the same time, you're very weak, you cannot pray, you cannot read the Bible. That time I was so low. I remember going to Madare, and when I reached there, I think it was the wrong information. Instead of taking me to a psychologist, they took me to the doctor who deals with the mental issues. Psychiatric. Yeah. They took me to psychiatric. So realizing I was at the door of a psychiatric, I felt so down, and I just broke down because I thought, am I going mad? And I was stressed, I was depressed. What was bringing all this, because it was the responsibility. I'd just given birth, had a lot of complications. I'd exhausted all the corners, finances. The baby is here, I need to fend for the baby. I cannot I was not in a position maybe to hire someone to come help me. And I was from a CS, yeah. I have to do everything for myself. I felt like hell was broke in my life. Thank God I managed it, but it was not easy.
But you managed.
I managed it. I came out of that. So another scene also came. I lost my job.
Wow.
I lost my job and I had no idea how I can start my life again. And the baby was there, the school fee was there, everything was there waiting for me. I was just sacked that tomorrow I should not report to work. I was never given any notice and all that. But I took it positively. I said, it's okay. So I was down in the house for like around 5 months without a job.
But you overcame that.
I overcame that, though it was very hard.
Very tough.
It was very tough because I need the finances. Every morning when you wake up, you start with money. I had no any other source. So I survived with a lot of loneliness. I was feeling so down. You could cry until now you cannot cry.
Yes.
The same time you cannot show the baby that you're down. And the child will automatically demand, I need this. She'll not know that you don't have money. And you cannot show that you're now too down for the child. Because you are the only hope she has. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
On that note, Sally, thank you for your testimony. We're going to come back and, of course, get more details of the story. Very inspiring, by the way. And as we continue, of course, we will be taking a look at other stories that are happening across the country. And, of course, just getting more feedback from you on this conversation that we're having in the morning. But we'll continue. I'd like to ask Eva, maybe also give us a glimpse into what kind of psychological issues do you think you faced? Did you face any kind of psychological issues when it came to, you know, the responsibilities?
Just like I said, I woke up one day married, and then that night I was single. So actually in my case, I think I took one step at a time. I didn't feel it because mostly I was the breadwinner. So it really didn't hit me so hard. So it gradually sank into me that I was single. And then again, I kept on waiting. I kept on hoping. And time went by. 2 months were gone, then 3 months, then 1 year, then that was it. And then I was like, okay. So I have to come to terms with this. So mine was very gradual. But I have an organization called Mama's Cradle. And at Mama's Cradle, I really listen to so many stories because women tell of their stories, what they've gone through. We are about 172. And the stories that are there are mountain moving. They're so sad stories, what the women have gone through. And sometimes we invite psychologists to come and address certain issues for them. Especially when we cannot tackle something, we invite psychologists, doctors, lawyers. They come, we add them in our group, and they talk us out of so many things. But there are so many stories of broken women out there. Yeah.
All right. And we'll come back to more issues on that. But away from that, leaders from Taita Taveta County are expected to be questioned by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations over the plight of camel herders. The governor, women rep and senator are expected to shed more light on the conflict pitting the locals against the herders. Now, Seth Olale now joins us with a live report from the DCI headquarters. Seth, how have the leaders presented themselves at this point, and what is the conflict all about?
Well, thank you so much. Happy good morning here at the DCI headquarters along Kiambu Road. Well, the Governor Glanton Samboja indeed arrived here at about 8:30 a.m. Also, more than 5 MCAs, majorly drawn from Taita Taveta, have arrived here. Also in attendance is the Mwatate MP Andrew Mwadime. They're being questioned, as you said earlier, over a row between herders, camel herders and private ranch owners, as well as now the county government being involved here. The county government is opposed to illegal grazing by camel herders, but the camel herders say that they have a legal lease agreement with some of the private ranchers, and so they should be allowed to continue to graze, but the county government says it does not recognize that. And you will recall that last month farmer was found dead, brutally murdered, and it is alleged that he was murdered by some camel herders, and residents in Taita Taveta County responded by slaughtering up to 20 camels. And so there has been a very tense standoff between these particular parties, and this led to the DCI summoned the county governor himself, Granton Samboja, a section of MCAs, and like I mentioned earlier, Motate MP Andrew Mwadime. They are all here, and the particular exercise is ongoing. They're being asked to record a statement. They're also being accompanied by a house of lawyers, and most definitely shall be keeping an eye here at the DCI headquarters, and just to let you know what will transpire from this particular grilling.
All right, thank you so much, Seth, there from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations along Kiambu Road. Of course, is following up on that particular story happening. Then, of course, we'll be getting more details from Seth later on. But Inspector General of Police Hilary Mutiambai is in the county of Kisumu to meet county commissioners drawn from all over Nyanza region. The IG will also visit the port to assess the progress of rehabilitation. And Okokusa now joins us once again live. This is the IG's first time in Kisumu since his appointment. What's his other mission, Oko?
Yes, as you've mentioned there, Zainab, is that the IG is supposed to be meeting police bosses derived from the entire Nyanza here at Tom Mboya Labour College, which is just behind me. They have already arrived. Most of the officers there, they are waiting for the IG, who is, as we speak, is supposed to be making a visit at the governor's office. We are not very sure whether Governor Nyang' Nyong'o is in. He had made a trip to China, but he'll be meeting he'll be touring the governor's office there for a courtesy call. Is likely to be met by the deputy governor, that is Matthews Owili. But then thereafter he'll proceed here to Tom Mboya College, where that particular meeting is supposed to happen. This is his first time, as you mentioned there again, Zainab, that is visiting these parts of Kenya, and we are also made to understand that he'll be touring the port of Kisumu, which is under rehabilitation, as you've also mentioned there again. And that particular visit will be forming, I guess, the fourth by a high-profile member of this, in this country. We know that early last week, the CS for Interior, that is the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, Fred Matiang'i, made an impromptu tour of that facility. And again, on Friday last week, the opposition leader, who is also this AU Special Envoy on Infrastructure, Raila Odinga, made another discreet and impromptu visit of the same facility. And the following day, that was on Saturday, the president himself was here on a low-key tour of the facility to inspect. What we are made to understand is that they are here to inspect construction works that are going on that particular facility. We all know that the government is pumping up to 3 billion shillings to facelift the Kisumu port in readiness for the opening, which is scheduled to happen next month around 15th, and a lot of at least 3 heads of states from the region, the East Africa region, have been invited to participate in that particular launch. There will be other, of course, projects that have been scheduled for commissioning and opening. We are talking of an industrial park. We are also talking of revival of some of the factories here. Kikomi, which is Kisumu Cotton Mills, is another one that has been lined up for reopening when that time comes. So there's been a lot of visitations that are happening there impromptu. The president and the opposition leader Raila Odinga have actually made 3 low-key visits to the facility. The last time before last weekend, they were there after attending the burial of Kisumu Governor's Nyang' Nyong'o's mother, the burial of Kisumu County Governor's mother, Nyang' Nyong'o. Thereafter, they made a discreet tour of that facility where journalists were barred. Remember, all these visits, the journalists have never been allowed to cover them. Even the part of the president's security team is usually put aside, and only a few accompany him in such visits. So that has been happening for quite some time now. There is an expansion of the docking berth at the Kisumu port. There's also works going on at the dry dock. Dry dock is where they repair and make ships. And of course, there's also working on a ship assembly yard, which all these are supposed to cost that 3 billion shillings that I've just mentioned there. Remember, in the future, according to Macharia, who is the CS for Transport, sometimes Paki mentioned to us that they have set aside up to 14 billion shillings to build a new port in Kisumu in the coming years. So those are some of the activities that have been happening, and today we are seeing the IG himself is here to inspect the works going on there, and of course to hold the security meeting here at Tomboya College with the Nyanza police bosses. We really don't know what the agenda of that meeting, but we'll be finding out as the day goes by. Zainab, back to you.
As more details of the Inspector General of Police Hilary Mutyambai's first visit in Kisumu County. And just back to our conversation this morning on single parenthood, and a lot of reactions from the men, of course, saying they should be part of this conversation, and I agree with that, to defend their views. That's what they say. We have here at Santana Onyango saying, we want men to talk about these issues. Of course, talk to us then. Our lines are open for you. You can be part of the conversation. The lines are there. You can see the numbers on your screen, and also our social media platforms at NTV Kenya, at Zainab Ismail. The hashtag is NTV Today. Now, Eva, we are raised that even in our education curriculum, you know, we are taught about a nuclear family. There is a mother, there is a father, and a child or children within that setup. And the father is then the head of the family, right? That's what we're taught in school, from primary school. So I will ask you this, then this dynamic changes everything. There is no father, but you are there as a father, as a mother, and you're also the head of the family. How do you deal with this?
First of all, I think the Kenyan
and
government
especially
should
with the
review
education
this.
curriculum, because that's the perception that we have. This is how it should be.
Yes, I think the government of Kenya should really review that of nuclear. The nuclear family should be parent and children. Yeah, because you see, it really doesn't help when that kid comes home and then like, where's my dad? You know, they pressure you. They really put a lot of pressure on you, especially if you're that single parent who don't have the guts to talk to their kids about what happened. In my case, in my situation, it's very different because everything was happening when my kids were all grown and they saw everything. So only my last born was so small. She didn't see this. But the others know very well whatever happened. So many times we talk about everything.
So
we
you
tell
sit down
stories.
you sit down with your kids and you actually have a conversation into, you know,
yes, and we laugh it off. And we laugh it off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My son can just bring up, do you remember that day when dad did this and this? And then I'm like, yeah. And then we start our conversation from there and we laugh it off. Yeah, like time has really healed us. Yes.
Okay. And you know, I'd like us to go a little bit back into, you know, the stigma that we're talking about, and of course people's perception into that. Do you feel as a society we castigate women a little bit too much?
Yes.
For being or choosing to be, you know, single mothers, as opposed to men who, by the way, are doing a fantastic job being single parents as well? Do you think we're too harsh on women?
Very harsh, very harsh. For instance, see, if I'm here today and she is a single parent who is a male, he would really find a wife very fast, but I wouldn't find a husband. Is that true? Do you think that is true?
I don't know.
Yeah, the men would get a wife for themselves, even if they have 10 children as a single parent.
Really?
Yes. They will still get a woman to live with them.
As long as they are financially stable.
Yeah, but for us, it's so difficult. Even if you're financially stable.
Why do you think that is?
Because we are women. We just, people are just harsh on women.
Do you feel like the standards that we judge women are a bit higher than
very
the standards
high?
that face?
Yes, yes, that's right.
Sally, do you agree with the same?
I agree. I think the nuclear family is okay. Father and the mother and the children, that's okay. You don't need to visit that again. I think only that the men should stand up and take charge.
Yes.
And be a man in the family. I think the problem here is the man, not really the family. The problem is the man running away and neglecting his responsibility. But when they can try and come back and raise the children, the same style you were raised. You know, before when we were growing up, a woman could not leave the home. However much she could be in abusive family, abusive relationship, but she could be there. Yeah, because there was that fear, the neglect and all that. But now time has changed, that if you face such, you have to move out. So men should just come out and stand with the family. However much you are not for the woman, but stand up for your child. Support your child. Be there for the baby. Let the baby know you. Yeah, let baby know you. Get some time and look for this baby and have time with the baby. However much you are far, or you are not together with the mother, but as a father, you know, this child is mine. Create some bond with the child, as long as you're not dead. Take charge. The school fee of this child, you should cater for. The needs of this baby, a man should provide. It's not a must that when you're in a courtship or in a marriage now, and you feel it's not working, now you also interfere with the child. The child is too innocent to go all through this. So men should come in and stand for the family. If they don't want the mothers, yes, well and okay. But for the children, they should come in and bring the children, help us be the father figure, because the father figure is very important in the family. Without the father figure, these children, they're affected at some point. However much we can deny.
Yeah. Maybe I can add something on that.
Of course.
You see, in the setup, long time ago, women were married, and the woman would be like a community property. So no one would just sit back and see a woman being beaten by the husband. The men were not even allowed to do that, right? So the other family members, the extended family would really come in. But today, it doesn't happen that way. So it's like, Eva has got a problem with the husband, it is my own problem. Myself, I don't allow someone else to come and help us, yeah? So the only way is, in the end, you have to separate. You have to go different ways. But long time, the woman belongs to the society. Yeah, everyone respected the woman. Yeah.
All right. And just to look at the statistics of the single parents that we have, 83% of them are mothers. All right. And out of this, 45% are either divorced or separated, and 34% have never been married before. And with those statistics, there is a rising, or the rate of teenage pregnancies is rising within the country, and this is very alarming, by the way. So what goes on through your mind when you look at these young girls becoming moms at such a young age, and looking back at your own journey, being a mother, and looking at a young lady, a teenager, giving birth at such a young age? Eva?
I will still get back to the old times. It was so difficult to find teenage pregnancies, unlike today. Today it's like, it's the system of the day. You have to get pregnant while still young. So if you get to 21, you're not yet pregnant, you can't do it. You have to wait until you're married. And then again, the caning was taken away from us. We no longer have rights to discipline our children. We no longer have the right. So your kids can easily sue you if you harsh on them. And even teachers are not allowed to discipline children at school. So they are left alone. And you know, 90%, in fact 95% of the children's times, they are at school. So if the discipline is taken away from school, what do we expect? We expect everyone to go astray. Yeah. So it begins with the whole society.
All right.
Yeah.
And my director is calling me, is telling me there's a caller online. Of course, we've lost him at this point. Yeah. He's saying he's interested. He's interested in probably providing for a family, but he can't find a woman to provide for. So I don't know, you think he's being cheeky at this point, yeah? But please talk to us, do call in live and send us your feedback and opinions regarding this conversation. Look, we also have single fathers here, and I can see a lot of single fathers saying we've been left out in the conversation, who raise their children. Do you feel like single fathers as well face the same challenges as, you know, single moms do?
Before I get to that, allow me to go back shortly. About the society being harsh on us, being harsh on single women.
And just hold on to that point here. Terry from Thika is calling in live. Thank you so much, Terry. A very good morning to you. What feedback, what opinion, what would you like to chip in the conversation?
Hello, how are you?
A very good morning to you, Terry. Kindly talk to us.
My name is Terry.
Yes.
Been a single mother for 13 years now.
All right.
13 or 12. And I would like to contribute and say that being single is not that bad. As you know, that the reason why you separated with your man is you just wanted that marriage to work, but it didn't work. But I thank God on my side because He enabled me to raise these children. My son is in Form 3, my daughter is in Class 7, and we've been doing well. God has blessed me. I've been trusting God. Being single, there's a God in heaven. All those mothers who are single, I would like to encourage them that they look up to God, because man is not everything in life. Men have the money, it is good. Don't have him, it is well.
All right.
There is a God who cares for us all, and He loves us so much. Don't look down to yourself because you're single, or think that things are not working because you're single. No. If it's in business you're working, just put effort, work hard, and God will bless the works of your hands and will raise those children. And God will also help those children to grow up, have a better life than you had.
All right.
We just pray for them.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that, Terry, there from Thick. And of course, quite an inspiring advice there she has for all single parents. So as we continue, Sally, you were talking about, you know, taking us back a little bit.
Yes. So the society takes women differently. They view us differently. A woman at some point in life, then the society considers you to be in a marriage, in a stable marriage. And in a situation whereby like you are not here, you are not there, you're just there. I remember just shortly, some times back, I got some very harsh words from my relative, a male relative, just because I was in need of some cash to clear out the school fee for the baby. Then it just became abusive. Then he was asking me, where's the father? Look for the father, that's not my business. So you see how the society considers you. They tell you that you need to be somewhere. You need to be having a man in your life. So mostly it's just the society, African culture. They need you to be in a stable family. Now concerning about the teenage pregnancies, I think again the African culture, we don't bring children the right way. We don't have these sexual teachings, topics with our children. Because when your child is a teenager, like my sister here, you have teenage children. This is the time that you should sit them down and talk about sex freely. African, we tend to shy off. We tend not to speak directly to our children. So this child will just grow not knowing. You will only tell the child, don't do sex, it's bad. But she doesn't know why the sex is bad. She'll try to experiment. Why is it bad? I want to experiment and see if there's something bad in it. Out of it, there's a pregnancy. So there's some knowledge lacking. In fact, a lot of it lacking that our teenagers are not getting. Either much from a poor family or from, mostly they're from unstable families. They tend to get exposed very early and they don't have the knowledge and the information.
And what goes on through your mind when you see, okay, so this has happened and you have a very young girl having to start raising a child. And of course this, you see, adds to the statistics of single mothers to a certain point, yeah? So what goes on through your mind, literally seeing such a young girl raising a child, being a child herself?
Mostly I feel pain. And at some point, I can just break down. You know, this single life, I don't know whether it happens to any other woman. At some point, you just get emotional. Because most of the things you do them for yourself. You ask yourself, why am I? There's an area that a man should be doing. You have to do it. So at some point, I don't know, any other woman maybe, they're somewhat strong. Me, I'm strong, yes, I'm strong inside. But outside, sometimes you just break up. You get yourself, you're too emotional, you cry. Like a situation, I see a young girl having a child, and at the same time she's a child. I feel a lot of pain, and I see a lot of struggles. In a case, there's a lady I met, and I was trying to share with her. At first, she wanted to terminate the pregnancy. Then I talked to her. She had some clear reasons why she was doing that. Neglected, the boyfriend ran away, could not pick her calls and all that. After I talked to her, then I told her, before you do this, you need to know why you're doing it. Go sit down, think for yourself, and also consider the consequences of doing this. The good thing, I told her, come after 1 week, we talk again. She came now, she was positive towards the pregnancy. Then she gave birth. She was very young, 19 years old. Now the challenge was after that, how she's going to raise the baby. And the boyfriend ran away. The parents also had now turned away with her. I could not help much, but only maybe the talks about my sister there from Dhika, talking about God. God will provide, because God himself cannot give you a load that you cannot carry, and is the father to that child. The same time, the same God says that it was not good for a man to be alone. So sometimes contradicting. You are alone, God says it's not good for you to be alone, but he provides. But it's not easy for the young girls. It's not easy for them.
It's quite tough.
Yes, very.
Eva, what goes on through your mind? You know, even you have teenagers, right?
Yes.
You're saying you're a young girl having a pregnancy, you know, having to take care of a child without having mentally matured at that particular point in her life.
As much as it breaks me down, there is something we call the second chance. If this child is still young enough, this girl is still young enough to go back to school, I would give them the chance of going back to school and working hard, knowing they have a kid. First of all, I would applaud that particular girl for not aborting the baby and carrying the baby to term and bringing life into the world. Yeah. But now, what is the society doing in such cases? We should be able to give our children second chances. She did a mistake, yes. You also did mistakes. No one is perfect. I'm neither perfect. So it's so easy for me to give such a child a second chance. I mentor a lot of girls. Currently, I empower women who are either in marriage or outside marriage, and even widows. I teach skills before I come to work every morning. So I give skill every morning, and the way you see them, they're so happy they have something that they've done now with their lives. So it's very important to know that it pays. It pays when the society is able to give our own a second chance of having a better life, whether they've given birth or not. Yeah.
All right. Let me ask you this. I know your kids already know about their father.
Yes.
But Sally, your child doesn't know about their father yet. So I'll ask you this. Is there an appropriate time where you can introduce that topic to a child? Because it's very important, I believe, to make sure that a child knows who their father is, right? So is there an appropriate time to introduce that topic to them? Or at what age do you think that should be done? I'll start with you, Eva, then I'll come back to you, Sally.
Okay, in my case, I'm going to say what happened in my case. The other three were very sober when all this was happening, but the last born now, that was my biggest challenge. But I just decided one day, as she was growing up, you know, when I had the baby, the father was already an absentee. So I kept photos. I have photos of him. And so I started from there. I began from there, as young as she was. When she started realizing this is my life, daddy is never there at home. So I started talking to her about daddy is not there because we could not get along well. So when you see another daddy, don't feel bad because your dad is still your dad, whether we are here with him or not.
All right.
Yeah, so it's been continuous. Even now, I still talk to her about the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so there is no better time and
an appropriate time.
And an appropriate time.
You need to
just
find
begin.
out.
Yeah, you just need to find out or you need to find out how to frame everything to your baby, and then you make it continuous, so they don't feel left out.
All right.
Yeah.
And I'll come back to you, Sally, in just a moment. I understand we have Nuno from Marsabit County. A very good morning to you, Nuno. Thank you so much for calling in. A very good morning to you once again. Talk to us about this conversation. What feedback do you have for us? What opinion?
Kwanza nitatumia lugha ya Kiswahili, sitatumia lugha ya Kimombo na wasalimu.
Haina shida, tumesalimika sana.
Kwanza niko na mchango na swali nitakada.
Naam, endelea.
Kwanza mimi mwenyewe ni miaka 16 na msichana ambaye nilioa kama mke wangu nilikuwa nikifanya kazi kwao nyumbani. Tukapatana, tukapendana. Akanizalia kijana mmoja. Nikakaa na yeye, basi tukatoka kwao nyumbani nikamlete, nilimwoa Nyeri nikalete Marsabit. Sasa kukawa mzozano kati yangu na yake. Lakini tukakosa kuelewana, yeye akajaribu kuchukua mtoto, mimi nikakataa nayo. Yeye akaenda akaniwatia mtoto. Nikabaki na huyo mtoto, nilikuwa nikifanya kazi ya tanboy, co-driver, nabeba mtoto wangu, nalea mtoto wangu, na akawa mkubwa. Na alipokuwa mkubwa nilikuwa naunganisha yeye na mama yake, lakini baadaye mama yake alininyang'anya kwa sababu uchezi ya wazazi wake, kwa sababu mimi sikuwa na wazazi, nilipoteza wazazi wangu. Yani nilikosa supporting.
I'm very sorry.
Supporting kwa parents, kwa sababu nilimlea kwa saa hii ako na kazi, ni mkubwa, hanitambui. Na nilijaribu kuunganisha na yeye na mama yake, lakini ni kitu inaniuma. Lakini
I'm very, very sorry.
Na nilikaa na ule mtoto, nabeba yeye kwa mgongo, napakia mizigo za watu kwa lori, natengeneza taya, natembea na yeye usiku na mchana, na najifunga mpaka yule mtoto, wakati nilipokuja kumuunganisha yeye na mama yake, kwa sababu mama yake alikuwa hai. Alikuwa amefikisha mwaka 11. Sasa singeweza kumsomesha, lakini nilijaribu kuunganisha yeye na mama yake. Mama yake akamsomesha, lakini grandmother yake, nyanya yake, hakupenda sana mimi nikae na ule mtoto, lakini walimchukua kwa sababu ni mtu wa kutoka Nyeri na mimi wa kutoka pande hii. Imeniguza sana. Nasema sisi wanaume pia tunaweza tukalea. Sio wa mama peke yake.
Asante sana, tunashukuru Nuno.
Sisi ni watu wa kuhamahama pande hii. Na wasichana wetu huku wanahamahama, na wakati ile wa kuhamahama na mifugo, ni vipi mnaweza mkasaidia pande hii kuelimisha wasichana wa pande hii? Hii mimba ya mapema, kama bado hujajipanga, anaweza akaepukana nayo namna gani?
Thank you so much, Nuno. Appreciate it. We appreciate you calling, and of course we'll be getting more details and more answers on that, what you've asked. We also have Timothy from Nyahururu. A very good morning to you, Timothy. Thank you so much for calling in. What is your feedback this morning?
Good morning to you too.
Yes.
I'm glad to be part and parcel of today's conversation.
All right.
Na ningependa kuchangia kwa mada ya leo, na kwa kusema being a single parent is not a mistake, neither is it a curse. But it's a matter of understanding between a man and a woman. You as a parent, as you decide that one of you has to get a child, or both of you have to get a child, you came to an agreement. I mean, for you to have a relationship and sleep together without protection, that means that the end product of it is supposed to be a child. But that doesn't mean that being a man or being a woman, you do not have to come to an agreement. I think the lady on the right, on the green, she has spoken about the issue of the society. Yote inarudi back, how were you raised? No. If you are raised in a society whereby both the community and the parents need to agree and take up the responsibility of taking care of both of the two of you as parents, as young as you are or as old as you are, as long as the community inaona the positive part or the positive impact in the relationship.
All right, we've lost that Timothy from Nyahururu, of course, but raising very interesting point there, of course, talking about it's not a mistake when you decide to be a single parent. And of course, Nuno giving a very emotional testimony about his life and how he raised his children. And he asked a very interesting question, but because we're out of time, I'll take your response very briefly. I'll start with you, Sally. As you say, when is the right time to introduce a man to your, or they introduce who their father was or who their father is to your child? And very briefly as we conclude the conversation.
I think from 10 years towards the teenage life. Maybe I can start from 10 years trying to introduce the idea to her. I see how she responds. So by the time maybe after 2 to 3 years she's a teenager, now she can get in the idea very clearly, because it's very right for a baby to know the father. Yeah.
All right.
It's very right. So even the father is very right for the father to access and know the baby. However much it has taken a long time, but it's very necessary for both parents to carry the responsibility together.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Sally. And Eva, your parting shot on this matter.
There is no better time to introduce a child to their dad if he's not with you than when they're young.
All right.
It has to be a daily thing. Their father is part of them, whether he's there or not. There is not much we can do about that.
All right.
Yeah. So from the word go, my child has to know who the father is, and that the father is not in good terms with us, and that's why he's not living with us.
All right.
But there is no mistake. There is nothing wrong between her and the father having a good relationship.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much there, Eva Oguna, single mom, as well as Solene Akoth, also a single mother, giving their testimonies and of course the challenges they do face being single parents. And of course this is a rising, or rather the rates of single parenthood are increasing in the country, so the dynamics within the family setups are shifting here in the country. We'll be having that conversation and continuing it online. So at NTV Kenya, at Zainab Ismail, the hashtag is NTV Today. Chip in the conversation. We will be taking a break from NTV Today now, but NTV Sasa is coming right up your way. Salim Swale and Nuru Abdul Aziz are bringing you NTV Sasa. My name is Zainab Ismail. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good morning.